New details emerge in the case of Utah mother Kouri Richins, accused of poisoning her husband and then writing a children's book about grief for her kids after his death. Levy, and welcome to Law and Crime's Sidebar podcast. New details are coming to light in the case against Kouri Richins. A little backstory on the case first, though. Richins is the 33-year-old Utah mom of three accused of poisoning her husband, 39-year-old Eric Richins, by giving him a Moscow mule laced with large amounts of fentanyl back in March of 2022. Months after Eric Richins died, Kouri wrote a children's book about grief entitled, Are You With Me? She even did an interview on a morning show about the book right before her arrest.
Joining us now is author of Are You With Me? Kouri Richins, to share her 3 C's to helping kids cope with grief. And Kouri, I want to start with your story. What happened in your personal life?
So my husband passed away unexpectedly last year. So it's March 4th was a 1-year anniversary for us, and he was 39. It completely took us all by shock. And we have 3 little boys, 10, 9, and 6. And, my kids and I kind of wrote this book on the different emotions and grieving processes that we've experienced last year, and hoping that it can kind of help other kids deal with this and kind of find happiness some way or another.
This case really starts back in 2015. Between then and 2017, court documents say Kouri Richins bought 4 life insurance policies for her husband, totaling $2 million. More records show that Kouri had stolen money from her husband, including forging his initials to borrow $250,000. Right before Eric died, he apparently was going to tell her that he was cutting her out of his will. The two also disagreed about buying a $2 million mansion that Kouri wanted to buy and flip. Police say hours after Kouri poisoned Eric, she closed on that property and threw a party. According to court documents, the state and one of its witnesses, Kouri Richins Benson, have been advancing the narrative that Kouri attempted to poison Eric on multiple occasions, once in Greece and then another time in February 2022 before Eric's death. But the defense claims that there isn't a single text message or document turned over in discovery to support these claims. On March 3rd, 2022, Kouri Richins made Eric a Moscow mule, which he took a couple of sips of at around 9:15 p.m. Kouri then went to lay down with one of their children, according to court documents. When she returned to Eric's room around 3 a.m., that's when she claimed she found him dead. Eric's autopsy revealed he died from an overdose of fentanyl and had 5 times the amount of a lethal dose in his system. Kouri Richins is accused of poisoning him, and she faces a first-degree aggravated murder charge and multiple counts of second-degree possession of a controlled substance with intent to distribute. Now let's get to that new information that I mentioned at the top. We're learning more about Kouri Richins' online phone search history, and we're also getting a look at a transcript of a police interview with Kouri Richins that took place on April 13th, 2022, a little more than a month after Eric died. The detective explains to Kouri that Eric died of a fentanyl overdose, to which Kouri replies, saying Eric did not use drugs. Detective Woody then explains to her what fentanyl is, saying, quote, "It's fentanyl. It's a pretty deadly drug. It's becoming more common." Kouri interrupts him, saying, quote, "Well, would he get high?" Detective Woody explains to her that they need to investigate further and goes on to tell her, quote, "So we're going to seize all electronics for now until we figure out what's going on." Kouri replies, "That's fine." Once the police seized her electronics, they discovered some of her iPhone searches that included phrases such as how to permanently delete information from an iPhone remotely, how to turn off Find My iPhone, can cops force you to do a lie detector test, and FBI analysis of electronics. Other searches were about prisons, such as what are you allowed inside Utah jails, luxury prisons for the rich in America, and women Utah prison. And the most damning evidence in her search history relates to death certificates and fentanyl, like what is a lethal dose of fentanyl? Fentanyl found in marijuana gummies. Who determines cause of death on a death certificate? And can the cause of death be changed on a death certificate? Those are just a few of a plethora of searches that Kouri Richins made surrounding her husband's death and Eric's life insurance policy, which investigators believe was Kouri's motive to poisoning him. At the time of this recording, Kouri Richins is due back in court for a detention hearing. Her defense attorney wants her released. Be sure to tune in here to Sidebar for more coverage of this case. Also, lawandcrime.com has you covered along with Law and Crime's YouTube channel. And that's it for this edition of Law and Crime's Sidebar podcast. You can always download and listen to Sidebar on Apple, Spotify, Google, and wherever else you get your podcasts. And of course, you can always watch it on Law and Crime's YouTube channel. I'm Angenette Levy, and we will see you next time.